Test, test. All right, looks like we're good here. Just gotta wait for this to start. Oh, it says I'm live, I'm live. Blah, blah, blah. There it goes. All right, looks like we're good. All right, welcome to part 2 of HALETHORPE Interlocking. Actually now featuring HALETHORPE Interlocking after the day 1, which was largely had some subway maps and some other stuff. I'm going to be hopefully get this done, and I'm not sure my next thing's going to be, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So at the time when HALETHORPE the Interlocking was still an interlocking, HX Tower was still being used, it looked like, by some maintenance of wave forces. And you could go up the ladder to the door, and it had the typical mishmash of railroad locks. One of them being like a missing knob or something, and I was able to get my camera up and get some photos of the inside. So here we see the operator's area of HX Tower, or the desk, probably where the desk was, and AC, someone's jacket, etc. Now, the interesting part is, let me just show this picture here. The interesting part being that I was recently able to find, if I can find it, some pictures of the interior of the tower. Here we are, probably looking towards the door. Given that the lever frame is usually placed in the back of the tower. Here we can see it was a USNS style S electromechanical machine, with the points, of course, being worked by mechanical levers, and the switches being signals and other electric devices being worked by miniature overhead levers. In this picture, it looks like most of the levers, the mechanical levers, seem to have been replaced, have been marked as spares. So it might have been partially electrified. I'm using as a reference the North American Interlockings page, which has a great reference for towers, tower photos from usually about the 70s. And here we have pictures of HX back as it appeared before most of it was boarded up. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. Let's see what we can learn. This is probably a post-closure picture. You saw this one I just had. Again, I can't quite tell how much of it was mechanical or not. Same here. But at least it was open as of 1989. A lot of this stuff in the area seemed to have been resignaled in the early 90s. That's when a lot of the looked like the CTC stuff sort of went in. So, anyway, let's get back to the actual photo here. So, since I'm still using this stuff, I can go and get the original names. I should be calling this HX, but I'm kind of not. So we'll see how I go with this. In fact, I'm going to call anything with a tower as HX, because that's what I'm doing on the new ones. So yeah, unfortunately, like I said, the interlocking machine has been removed and plywooded over. The assumption can probably also be that the relay room was similarly wiped out. Come on, there it goes. Of course, I just took some pictures there today. I'm not sure how much more, when you board up from the inside, the windows get smashed. So this is an interesting thing. Let me just unresize this real quick. Whoops. You can see that there's a safety poster up there. Let's see if we can get this. Curtis Bay, injury-free, 1991 and 1992. So, yeah, there you go. Let's see. What am I doing here? And here we have a side view of it with the interlocking there. Yeah, it's always been a conundrum whether you use the name of the like what you use here. So I think if it's a tower feature, I'm just going to go with the name of HX. And if it's the interlocking, I'll go with HALETHORPE. So here we have one of the real amazing things of HALETHORPE were these 4-track B&O color position like signal bridges. Really not something you see often. And it's a shame. I got into the Baltimore area around 2003. So, I really didn't. I was only there a brief amount of time with no car, mind you. So again, I got driven up here by some local signal fans. And of course, you could always take a few photos via passing MARC trains. They didn't quite have the windows blacked out the way they do today. See if I can get these a little bit brighter. I'm really not working with a lot of the resolution here. Ugh. Let me try reducing the tolerance on the magic wand. Helps a little bit. There it goes. Yeah, that's all right. And when I get around to the front of it, I'll go into what the things are actually doing. So back in the day, now let me just go pull this up, see, make sure I have it. Maybe I don't. No, I don't. I gotta go find it. Let's go pull out the diagram. This is where I go to my Baltimore Division 2005 employee timetable. Just got to find Baltimore Terminal. Should be like the first one. Huntington Ave, Camden, Bailey, Carroll, HALETHORPE. Here we go. And this shows you the track layout. It's a very odd track numbering system back then. From south to north, it's 2143. Yeah, that's a weird one. I noticed that Lansdowne had been built. That was the first part of the resignaling project was this intermediate Lansdowne interlocking. Then they resignaled West Baltimore. HALETHORPE became St. Denis. So let's just see what's going on here. These signals are, which ones are these? Let's see. The middle ones? Not sure. Here they are. They're track 3 and 4. Let's see what I used for that name back in the day. Yeah, I'll discuss the what's going on with the CPLs once I clear out and get to the around to the front. Yeah, I notice this again. My use of labels was evolving. I was calling this the east. So you can always say the absolute position of the gantry. This one I was calling it the east gantry, even though it was west. So I should have been calling it eastbound, but like I said, I wasn't. We have the relay huts, the relay cabinets associated with this eastbound signal bridge. All these are a bit soft, as you might notice. Here we go. So, excuse me. So what we had here, I might have some better ones, but I'll just work with this one. What we had here was your tracks 2 over there, then track 1. Both of those were your main tracks, capital sub. You had mark service, so you had the D boards for the delay and block rule, seeing that these were both also distance signals to Lansdowne or West Baltimore interlocking. I'm not sure if these were updated when Lansdowne went in, and you can see why. Lansdowne, where's that? Oops, that's not it. Lansdowne having on track 4, that ends at Lansdowne. So the best thing, you should, in theory, anything there should be getting an approach medium, but I don't think they wanted to change any of the signals at HALETHORPE. So you can sort of make the assumption that a lot of this was designed for signaling through to Curtis Bay via West Baltimore. And remember, this was at the time. This was the major, interlocking south of the city. Track 2 was not involved. Like the West Baltimore interlocking excluded Track 2, and Tracks 3 and Track 4 were mainly designed to head off into the yards. So for through trains, they would be. This is where you get processed. Okay. Anyway, Track 2. He can display. What can he display? Straight, diverging, or medium approach medium. So that means if he's going over to track 1, then he can get some sort of I think that's medium approach medium. He can get a, I hope that's, yeah, it's medium approach medium. He can get a medium approach medium at he can diverge and then diverge again at West Baltimore into the yard. So I don't think that wouldn't be a medium approach slow. Track 1, in theory, he could diverge to, because this should be a complete interlocking. Yeah, complete interlocking. I don't know what was up with this Lansdowne thing on track 1. I think that was added, and I'm just not sure how that worked. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I think that Lansdowne was added, or maybe it was just modified. But yeah, the track 3 is the oddball because it has a straight route, but here it's showing as everything. There's no straight route on it. Now maybe that track was originally non-bonded, so going on to this track, this number 2 storage, this storage track there, that might have been a non-signaled main track. So that's why the track 3, track 4, which is the old main line. I was talking about the number 1. Okay, number 1, you can diverge, or you can keep going, or you can defer diverging and get an approach medium at West Baltimore. There is no hint of diverging and diverging again at that Lansdowne signal, and of course there's nothing at West Baltimore. So that's what's up with track 1. Old main line comes in on what is track 4. apparently, again, maybe the storage track, the straight route, was non-bonded, so that just would have been restricting. So that means your only options were diverge onto 1, diverge again at West Baltimore for your medium approach medium, or just diverge and keep going straight, either on 3 or track 2. Track 3 was a stub. It was used by trains pulling out of the yard. They would reverse on the stub track. They could go on a straight route through West Baltimore up to the Curtis Bay area, or diverge to track 1 and then diverge back at West Baltimore. So a lot of this was predicated on the fact that you could always diverge here, or you could always, or anything getting to track 1 could diverge at West Baltimore onto the Curtis Bay. So that's why everything except track 1 has the medium approach medium. And I think we're also assuming that whatever Lansdowne was that storage track was either non-bonded or not present back in the day. And not present just would have meant that the old main line would have vanished on the other side of this interlocking. We'll see what's over there when we get over to the other side of the bridge. So that's the explanation of your signals on the east end of HALETHORPE interlocking, or the west end eastbound signals. I'm still making the mistake right today. Oops, I forgot to resize. That's the problem. There it goes. All right, moving on. All right, I should have definitely renamed that one. So this is just a better angle on that. Let me just change the names a bit. We can also see that this is the border between the subdivision post between the Capital sub and the Baltimore Terminal sub. Capital sub, of course, being the line between Baltimore and D.C., used by marked Camden Line service. Of course, interesting, they didn't have another sign for the old main line sub, which also ends at this interlocking. So this is actually a triple point of subdivisions. Baltimore Terminal to the north, or the east, Capital and old main line sub to the west. This is at milepost 5.9. Here we have tracks 1 and 2 signals. These are very pretty. I love how you have the these semicircular hoops for the lower orbitals with a little basket in there. Very nice, very elegant. A lot of fun engineering on this. I mean, you gotta. I mean, this was here since the tower was built in probably the 1920s. I don't think this. I mean, this might have had something else there. B&O went from semaphores to these, so it would have been semaphores if anything. Fun fact: I'm going to get into this now. That this whole complex was built at the site of a. Let's see what it says on the document. It was built on the site of or adjacent to. I gotta zoom out a bit. It's now an industrial park. It's the B&O Fair of the Iron Horse, 1927, which I guess was to celebrate the kind of 100th anniversary. But yeah, it seemed like a roaring 20s kind of cross between a World's Fair and a railroad exposition. I'm betting that the B&O used its own way to, I think it provided transportation. They probably rebuilt the interlocking in conjunction with the giant sort of worlds, the festival that they were putting on. So they would have used the newest and best tech. Here we have the track 3 and track 4 CPLs. Now today I would have taken a billion pictures of this stuff, but without the zoom on my old camera, with only 3x zoom, this is probably about as close as I could get. So there was nothing more for me to take. Not only did I not have the memory card space, I didn't have the zoom to get this stuff. These are track 4 and track 3 CPLs. Let me just mark what they are. And again, we see the this is clear. I said this is an original, or a somewhat original configuration because you had this the hoops here. If I go back a picture, let me pull it up. The track 1, track 2 CPLs. Looks like that one was added after the fact. I could be wrong, but I feel that the B&O would have done something a little more elegant. Also notice that they provided a stair step for maintaining the front of the the target itself. And of course, here we have the subdivision sign that I was mentioning. There is a sign still there at the new St. Denis. It is simply marked milepost 6.7, so it is almost a mile to the south. Yeah, not entirely sure why they didn't do something for the old mainline sub, but here we have just another quick picture, sort of the opposite angle of these track 1 and track 2 CPLs. Also note that this upper one does not appear to be as original as the first, but I could be wrong. But it doesn't have the proper spacing. So I'm betting that has to do something with that approach medium. Again, all of this stuff was updated sometime around the early 1990s. Let's see how we're doing on the chat. Make sure everything's working properly. Looks like everything's working. All right, video's up. Doesn't look like we've had any blackouts, or at least not big ones. All right, continuing on. And don't worry, we'll get to the far end of the interlocking. Here we have a nice solid view of track 3 and track 4, or track 4 and track 3. Note, brighten this up a bit. Note that the target on track, the stub track turning into track 3, has had a fairly new orbital target put in at some point. But again, it would all be for naught. This was probably in the original configuration. I would suspect that it was 2 tracks on the old main line, 2 tracks on the capital sub. At some point, OML was reduced, and then they dealt with it. There was probably a marker over here on track 4, but the marker connects in behind the beam, so you can't really see any. You can't really see the mount point for it. There we go. and of course the left-hand upright. And the feeds. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. I'll just do it as is. Not too much to describe here. I'm just trying to cut through the rest of these here. Where is it? Here it is. And I notice that the tracks are pretty shiny on the stub. I mean, they don't go anywhere. It's just a stub track. But it does seem pretty. And what I've seen at St. Denis, when I was at St. Denis, a lot of trains do roll it through into the station area onto the OML, and then light engine moves especially. Here we have a sort of an underview showing the duct boards under for the maintenance on the bridge, the signal bridge. Don't want to get too much of that there, but let's brighten that up a bit, and you can sort of see the really neat sort of cage construction. Some of them had grates put in, the rest just remained with planks. Here it is. Oh, that's the other side. Of course, now the B&O is generally perceived as a GRS railroad, but I have a lot of examples of them using US&S equipment, and especially at HALETHORPE in the interlocking machine. Now, I don't know what they did, but at some point they switched to the B&O, CSX B&O, or B&O was GRS for electric point machines, and then CSX kind of reversed that, going with US&S, at least for new builds. Let's see what I called this. Here it is, 11 and 1. Okay. Oops, forgot to resize again. There we go. Here's one switch. Here we have the other side of the tower, this time just sort of close in. Might have realized the backlighting was an issue on the other pictures. There we go. Oh God, all these old file names are just terribly here we have, what switch is this? I don't have diagrams for a lot of this stuff, so I just gotta I can't even tell. That's a shame. What do I call that picture? Gosh, I have no idea. Well, it's not 1 or 11, so got me. I'll probably just call it something generic. It doesn't matter. then here we have the other signal bridge, which is going to have its own slight differences, and we'll go through this and see what's up. But of course, the sun doesn't change just because you walk across an interlocking. So this time the rear is going to be lit up and the front's going to be backlit. Of course, I should also mention these are approach lit. You see some of the pictures in my archive are lit up. Those are taken from passing trains. Where is that? Not that one. There it is. What? Why are all these names all misspelled? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yikes. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing back then. Anyway, here we have what are tracks 3 and 4 again. And because I'm lit up, this time track 4, which is off, even if let's say that what track 4 is emptying out of was unbonded, storage track. In this case, trains rolling off that storage track would have a straight route onto the old main line. So it has the high orbital. It can also diverge, of course. Now, I'm not sure what the approach medium is for on the old main line. Let's just go to the things. I think that there might have been a back-to-back interlocking on the old main line there. So let's find out. I know that there was one pretty close. P&W, old main line sub. Here we go. Yes. At 2 miles away, you would East Avalon interlocking. So here we can see that there's your straight route. There's your diverging route. Your diverging route is going to be onto track 1 or track 2, which does not have back-to-back interlockings to the west. Approach medium to East Avalon interlocking on the old main line. Stub track. No straight routes. It's a stub track. Stub track going onto the stub track, you're probably going to get a restricting. But you can go medium approach medium to diverge at East Avalon, or medium clear, medium approach, whatever, to anywhere else you want to go on track 1 or track 2. That's how you read the the signals on HALETHORPE's westbound gantry, track 3, 4, CPL's rear. Here I carve the main tracks 1 and track 2. Looks like there has been some adjustments at some point. That's a new orbital up there. But I don't think there's some more adjustments. Again, if it's original, you get this little semicircular basket. All of these have medium approach medium because of East Avalon. Go straight toward DC, you're just going to hit intermediate signals before you get to something else. So everything, you can either diverge to straight onto track 1 or track 4, which would be old main line, or you can diverge medium approach medium over onto the old main line to diverge again at East Avalon. 11 switch. You would encounter a bunch of 5Fs, which are slightly different than normally the GRS. I found a great guide, but it's lost now, of General Railway signal switch machines and their models from Model 5A through now they're up to H. So they all come in pairs. So 5AB or something, 5CD or something, 5EF or something, 5EFH. G and H or something. The G and H's and the E and F's are both you can things buy today. The G and H's have some sort of internal point detection, and the E and F's don't. The E and F's are therefore shorter. This looks like it's an H, but it might be an E. And sorry, one of them is then the G, or the first number is the one that is not dual control. So an F is a dual control short, and H is a dual control long. A's and B's and C's and D's are much earlier models with like they look similar but different, like with that angled motor on it and stuff. Here we have another picture of the west gantry, just different angle. Last picture of the set. The underneath, much more, a little bit more definition on the boards. Get a little bit more depth on this one. Here we go. And let's figure out what I named it. Let's see how we're doing on size, and save that up the quality a little bit. I've got kilobytes to spurn. Okay, there we go. All right, let's get on to the next set. Halfway done. Almost getting this out of the way. We'll see who's in the chat here. Thanks to everyone who's watching. If you have any questions, you can make comments. I know this isn't super exciting. Just to reiterate, I'm gonna, while the pictures load, which they probably already have. Again, this is just south of Baltimore City, located just to the east of where the CSX line crosses the NEC at HALETHORPE station on near the Mark station. So it's actually between the new St. Denis, which is there, and there's the old HALETHORPE, which is there. That's where the NEC bridge is. And then, of course, there's the St. Denis Mark station all the way over there. Another interesting thing that I'm going to note, this was adjacent to and served by the Alcoa HALETHORPE extrusion plant. The extrusion plant has two of the 1950s heavy press program extrusion presses. These are 8,000-ton presses that are designed to create missile bodies in one pressing. Really neat. The program was designed after World War II after they noticed how Germany was able to create forgings and pressings of a very advanced shape to create their jet aircraft. So they built a whole bunch of them. Most of them are still in service. But the other extrusion presses that were made, a lot of them have been scrapped. I think the ones in upstate New York were, but I'm not entirely sure. But it's neat. If you're at the facility, you can see it's one of those sort of unremarkable industrial facilities with a lot of power going into it, and that's because it's a big aluminum plant. It's a big aluminum plant. All right, moving forward. Let's get this stuff dealt with here. Yeah. So this is interesting. We have like some sort of second signal bridge. So maybe these weren't original. There could have been something else here that predated the CPLs. But there's not a lot of bolts on that one. So I don't know what the... Oh, or maybe it was for relay cat. I don't know. I don't know what this was for. I noticed that on the other side as well. Here we go. Uh-oh. Alright, I think I'm okay. Alright, yeah. Not a lot I can salvage out of this one. I mean, this is directly backlit by the signal bridge. Today, my camera can pick up the detail, but I just did not have enough of it at this point in time. So we're going to have to go with pure silhouette here. I never know how to spell silhouette. I always have to Google it. And here we have the slightly less backlit. I think if I go in here with the old magic wand, I can clean it up a bit. There you go. That's not great because the lens, it didn't take the lens flare particularly well. Maybe I can undo some of that. Gotta try to get that stuff in there. I'm not going to get all of it, but that's going to be better. What the heck? It's not working. I guess I was using this. That's much better. Okay, there we go. Good enough. You gotta see some of the stuff a little bit. And again, I explain the signals, how this all works. The upper orbitals seem to be mounted slightly differently than the other ones. The brackets don't seem to be quite as robust, but I could just be seeing things. Here we have, which signals are these? God, I just did this, I don't know. It's tracks 1 and 2. And I probably got 3 and 4 as well. Here we go, 3 and 4. I should probably mark that as an angle. Yeah, I did. And in theory, I don't need to be quite so like this is this exact thing, but because these are gone, it's like it's not like I'm going to go back and have to differentiate between a ton of stuff. But I still like to be a little thorough. Gotta try to straighten this in a way that looks good. That looks pretty good. Just label these as being backlit. Ding. And here we just have the under view from the front of the thing. I can't really straighten this one because I gotta lose that stuff there. Again, this is a great view of the how they do the under baskets for the lower orbitals. Okay, here we have some communications equipment near the tower and the battery boxes. There you go. Let's see what I called this back in the day. So that's everything for the west signal bridge, or the westbound signal bridge. Oh, maybe this is near the, oh, this is near the westbound gantry. Yep, that was down at that end. Yeah, you usually don't see phones next to the tower. So that was installed probably at some point. Either to talk to the tower or after the CTC program, but I'm not sure about that because that would have been the 90s and radios are pretty reliable by then. One thing you can see in this picture, a lot of wisteria in those bushes. Wisteria is a vine with purple lavender flowers. It grows up through trees. It looks nice, but you don't want that stuff near your house. It is very hard to kill and it can undermine your foundation. We used to have some in my yard. My parents always going at it before it could become established. You pretty much need Agent Orange to zap it. So you can just see the final two things there. As I said, this was always a nice interlocking because it was then in the classic 4x4 configuration with outer crossovers and then sandwiching center crossovers. St. Denis is 4 tracks in on the east and then only 3 out, so it lacks the crucial sort of extra turnouts there. Back of HX Tower. Again, you can still see. I don't have the current pictures with me of HX Tower that I just did or processed or whatever. I don't know. Like here, you can see the original windows. Window. I don't know if that whole top might have just been just had a big old piece of chunk of cardboard covering over the old muttons and the other stuff there. But you cannot get this angle anymore. It is way too overgrown these days at HX. It's just a bramble patch back there. Here we see the west end of the interlocking. There we go. Backlit, of course, as was the style at the time. And that's one thing that be said for a kind of gray, crappy day. You know, at least you don't get the backlighting quite as bad. Drop that a notch. There we go. You can see there's actually some stuff down on the stub, and of course you can way in the distance you can see the new St. Denis interlocking, and we will be covering the new St. Denis interlocking a little bit later today. Here we have the 5 switch. There's the guy that I knew had this truck, and he'd just be like, he just tore ass up the maintainer roads in his sport utility truck. He claimed that he had contacts, or one of his friends said that he worked for CSX, they knew people there, and it wasn't a big deal. But I always felt that it was sort of like he was just taking refuge in audacity. So this is the 5, and that's the 11, and the 1 is back there the other way. Then maybe the other one would be 3, and that would be, what, 7? 9, 11. I bet that's that unknown switch is the 7 switch. I'm just going to call it that. It's got to be that. Yeah. That looks like it could be part of a 7. It's not the 1. Because I already had the 1. It's all the way on the other side of the tower. Yeah. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Good enough. Sometimes you got to make an educated guess. And of course here we have HX, the front of HX. I might just call this HX. Alrighty. Yep, got everything I needed. And we're on to the last batch of 12 photos here. Let's see who's still around to listen to this boringness. Hey, Brian Monroe's back. The one person who chats and makes some comments. Uh-oh, we're at 58 minutes here. Where does the time go? I don't feel like I'm blathering on. Didn't have any major mistakes, so almost done here. I don't think I had any blank video issues. Now looks okay. Here we have the train order board and horn. I know the train order board is still there. I don't know about the horn. Also note the little light bulb. Let's go. Let's cut to the historic photos and see what that light bulb's about. There's the light. A little. Hey, look, they got a better light on there too. Yep, there's a little light. Yeah, before the era of floodlights and stuff, it's sort of interesting to think about how, how dim the world probably was for a while. Electric incandescent lighting is not really bright. And here we have a slightly better photo of the inside, showing the complete desk, little radio booth, swing amp, lamp, and the bell phone. So, this probably had a phone number you could call at this time. And you've seen, probably, if you look through my videos, you can see my shenanigans with calling unmanned signal locations. Let's just go back to that one other thing where you can see the interior shot here. Here the desk's in the corner. So I don't think that these fittings are necessarily original. Yeah. Oh well. And the extra insulation clearly there to try to keep it warm in the winter. Again, this is probably a maintainer's hangout or base. So here we go. Here's the new St. Denis interlocking, which is there today. I will have some new photos on this out very shortly. On this, I went to St. Denis and just got some pictures of the afternoon MARC trains and some stuff on the interlocking here. So I'm not sure what I would have called this. Oh man, I have to go to the whatever towers. Come on, where is it? Signaling. There it is. What I called this stupidness? No, this is arranged by date. That's never good. Oh, I'll find it. Give me a second. Oh man, this is annoying. There it is. Man, I did not keep a lot of good stuff here anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely this is all I'm gonna have to relabel these photos because I wasn't into the thing of calling them new or old at the point. So this would all, because they're not in service, I pre-label them with a new. Anything that's out of service gets labeled with an old. So that's how I keep. When you have mixes of news and olds, when you have mixes of signals in the actual field, you just tag what's there. And I can date it. So as you can see on this case, it's only three signal inner thing. They have a place. If you saw that, they have a place for a fourth track. If they ever double track the OML or they want to rebuild the stub, I guess. just getting pictures of the bases here with the new relays, the electronics huts. Hopefully I get to another picture of the thing. See, no, why would I take this? Oh God, it's like two things the same thing. Oh, I guess you can see how it's not fully filled in with the rocks yet. Get through to something more interesting here. Here we go. This is the OML and main track 1 signal below. So back in the day, I was always a little bit. I didn't quite have this. Even though these are new, I still took some pictures just for newsy and just to see how they go. Damn it. These are 3 by 3, 3 heads of 3. There's no need for any slow speed signals, which would give you that fourth. The rare signal on CSX is the bottom head yellow for slow speed movements. Slow approach is what you use that for. I should do an article on the rarest signal lamps. It's almost always something with slow speed heads. There we go. And of course, like I said, these are still here today. And it's right next. That's the I-195 bridge. You can taking I-195. Unfortunately, you can't see the signals, but you can see anything moving and the back of the signals and the interlocking plant too. This was taken right from the St. Denis station. You can pretty much drive up. Now here's the interesting thing on the old St. Denis station. So this platform for eastbound trains is still there, but they had a island platform that could serve both the old main line track and Capital Sub Main 1. So there's Main 1 and then Capital Sub Main 2 in the old main line track. So in theory, you could probably platform off the old main line, but nothing would. And I don't think that anything used the old main line as a thing when this was built. No passenger traffic was on it. Today, there's just I think that you have to board across old main line track, the old main line track, board across it on duck boards. It's wonderful ADA compliance for you. Here we go. And this is an interesting thing I noticed as well. So first off, you can see the stub track is stubbed. Today that fourth track goes all the way into St. Denis Interlocking Tier. You can see the placeholder for the fourth track. Today, this platform is gone. This 3 tracks go straight through. The new platform is where the old main line track used to be. but it's constructed. I mean, I'm sure that if they needed to, they can just run all the way. They can re-double track the old main line. I'm not sure what the plans were. There was a bunch of congestion in the Baltimore. This was all part of a congestion relief program back in the early 2000s. And it looks like we're on my last photo of the this is the bridge over St. Denis. That's the road bridge at St. Denis. And here we have the permanent speed restriction. This would be at milepost about 6.7. So I have a new photo of this actually, and someone cleaned up the permanent speed restriction board. It's no longer covered in graffiti. Anyway, oh wow, I got through all that. I'm just going to delete these last photos, and on my own time I'll make sure all this stuff gets uploaded. Anyway, let's see if anyone's around in the chat thing. Anyway, thanks for showing up, everybody. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to another one of these. Next weekend is President's Weekend, but I'm going to see what's going to be going on with this. So maybe I'll find some one-dayers or whatever. Usually I don't do these so much outside the holiday season. I am starting to run out, but I think I have a fair number of ones to go through. Let's see what I have. I don't know. I gotta do Thorn Interlocking. That's the one I had. It's the literal thorn in my side. I gotta do Thorn, and that will be a live stream. That's gonna be a really long one, though. That one looks like I've already done. I'll figure it out. I'll see what's going on. And oh, this one looks like a one banger. Is this from 2003? Oh, this is from 2003. I think I've done this one already. Yeah. All right, I gotta deal with that. All right. Anyway, thanks you for everyone for turning in, and I will see you whenever. I don't know. Let's get this thing going. See ya. Have a great day.